4 years have passed since Majin Buu fell. What's happened in the meantime? Hey guys, MasakoX here. What If Weekly continues with the story of one of Vegeta's minions who realizes that they don't really have much of a good job and instead decide to get into the bed of the Z Fighters. But it's not Raditz this time. No, it's the other one. We're talking about the story of what would have happened if Nappa turned good instead. For the last 6 parts, we've been chronicling the story of what would have happened if Nappa survived Vegeta's onslaught. Well, for starters, his life would have been lengthened, obviously, and it would have changed dramatically, right from the moment when Goku saved his life. But ironically enough, Vegeta tried to waste Nappa, well, nobody tried to really lift a finger and Vegeta was wasted himself in the Frieza saga. As time wore on, Nappa began to trust everyone, Tenshinhan and Chaozu decided to leave the group, and Nappa became the Son family bodyguard. Instead of a friend in the traditional sense, it felt more right because that's basically what Nappa did for most of his life, be a bodyguard. Things started off pretty well, and Nappa had a really good relationship with Goten, but the relationship between everyone in the Son family and Nappa became rather strained when Gohan approached his adult years. The relationship and things taking too seriously put a massive stress on Gohan, which led to the whole Marching Gohan incident in the last couple of parts. However, after a tumultuous tussle and Nappa discovering that he really needs to back off, everything was right again, and everything is hunky-dory as we go into Dragon Ball Super's territory. And you know that whole berserk-like power that Nappa was exhibiting during the whole Buu saga? Well, I think it might come back again in this part, so let's get back to supposing. Fast forward to age 778, and the streets of West City are kept safe by 3 certain individuals. The Great Saiyaman 1, 2, and 3. In this case, Gohan, Videl, and Goten. In this timeline, Gohan was able to successfully work out a really good equilibrium between his work-life balance, so instead of spending most of Super trying to figure it out, he's already figured it out, especially given the fact that he has a much more independent streak in this timeline, thanks to Videl. Nappa, when he's not training with the rest of the Saiyan crew, is actually spending time coming up with some hobbies because he doesn't need to worry about Gohan as much anymore, so he can actually pursue some interests that he's been looking into on Earth, such as gardening, because whole Chi-Chi, Goku, they want to start off the Son family groceries and stuff like that. He's all in on that. And then, of course, there's his friendship with 17. They frequently go out to Rally Raid Championships and do some racing on the side, because unlike Goku, they have driver's licenses. I get the feeling that after the whole Buu saga, Nappa would have wanted to settle down after all this, because remember, Nappa is by far the oldest Saiyan there. He's not far off getting to that point where Saiyans slowly go off the boil. And also, love hasn't really befallen the big guy, he's not really been looking for it, so he needs to find other ways to find best days ever. Naturally, this piece will be coming to a halt because, as you know, Beerus is about to wake up because he had a dream about the Super Saiyan God. As Nappa and 17 are just busy having a fun time, Goku's off on King Kai's planet training, and that's when he hears about the whole calamity with Beerus, like in the anime and the original story. And yes, of course, he wishes to challenge Beerus. Oh, Goku, you're just so incorrigible. Both Beerus and Whis are currently coming back from a little excursion to a planet that they recently destroyed because the food wasn't good enough. But they actually find out about the Super Saiyan God and find out that there are Saiyans on Earth, but one of them's on King Kai's planet, so they decide to confront that one first. And it goes about as well as you might expect, which is to say not very well. Meanwhile, Bulma, like in the original, is holding herself that huge birthday party on that cruise ship. Yeah, not in the least bit egocentric at all, no. Yamcha, Bra, Nappa, 17 and Goten are busy helping with the preparations. Everyone's getting stuck in this time. However, Goten's a little distracted. He's actually developing a crush on Bra, or Bulla, or whatever you want to call her. Remember, in this story, Bulma married Yamcha instead of Vegeta because, well, Vegeta was dead. He's actually discovering himself and becoming a young adult instead of what Toei wants and keeping him a kid forever. And this naturally leads to more comedic moments, including the moment when Nappa and 17 decide to be Goten's wingmen and help him out. And remember what happened with the whole evil Saiyaman thing? 17 remembers. He still has the bucket. What doesn't help Goten's cause, though, is that it's really difficult to try and impress Bra because she's got a bit of an inventive streak herself, so she's very tough to impress. She got that from her mother. When it comes to inventing things, she's just as good as Bulma. In fact, one of her creations is actually helping out with the preparations right now, so yeah, I don't really see much that Goten can do. Sorry, bruh. And while all that's going on, Goku's just had his first tussle with Beerus, and he's dealing with a headache, as well as many other aches, as well as being beaten half to death. Like before, Goku doesn't really know anything about the Super Saiyan God, but instead of just saying nothing and just pleading ignorance all the time, he actually decides to throw Beerus a bone, instead of them just going looking for clues blindly. He suggests that maybe Nappa might know about the Super Saiyan God, because Nappa might know a lot about Super Saiyan lore since, he's the oldest and he's the most experienced and possibly the most knowledgeable about Saiyan origins and stuff like that. As that conversation's coming to a close, King Kai thinks that maybe it's best to tell Nappa about this and maybe warn people on Earth. But when Nappa's contacted, he thinks that this is a prank because King Kai's never talked to Nappa specifically before. The deity quickly explains himself and says that Goku's on his planet and that Beerus is around, and explains the situation and what he's doing there. And Nappa remembers Beerus all too well, in fact even more so than Prince Vegeta. Nappa was fully aware of what Beerus could do and how tyrannical he was, because he had to deal with the aftermath of Prince Vegeta being traumatized, and yeah, he doesn't want that same thing happening to either Goten or himself. So before the god gets to Earth, which isn't very long, Nappa decides to take charge of the party and tells everyone that they got to really tighten things up here and get things spick and span. By the time Beerus arrives, everything looks completely different. Everybody is in either a butler or maid uniform, trying to be very debonair or respectful because this is Nappa's interpretation of what Beerus might want. So yeah, it's a little bit comedic, but also this is Nappa trying really hard to not anger Beerus. Where do they get the uniforms? Well, they're still the crew uniforms because Bulma hired the cruise ship, so they're probably going to be still there for any crew that's going to be on there, so yeah, just take them. And this kind of catches Beerus off guard. He's kind of impressed, but also kind of weirded out. Not many planets go to this length to try and make him feel welcome. Most of the time they're just running around screaming. It's odd, but you can dig it. He likes being treated like a VIP every now and again. Everyone decides to roll along after what Nappa told them, all except Bulma, of course, because this is her party. She's absolutely distraught that Nappa's stolen her thunder. She wants it back, dang it. She doesn't want some overgrown pussycat taking it from her. So as a result, everything is going rather smoothly. In fact, even more smoothly than in the original story. That is, of course, until the whole pudding incident, because Majin Buu, even though he's wearing a uniform and trying to act like an attendant for extra candy, he can't resist pudding. And instead of Vegeta, who spent most of the time at that arc trying to reason with Beerus, it's Kami that's trying to do that because, he's the most sage person out there. He might be able to get through to Beerus, one god or guardian to another, maybe? No? It goes about as badly as south as with Vegeta? Okay. After that proves futile, Gohan, the androids, Kami and Nappa basically have to stop Beerus by force from destroying the Earth. But instead of it actually turning into a traditional fight, it's actually more of a food fight battle royale type thing. Having seen enough, Bulma strides over to where Beerus and Whis are located and just chews the god out and then slaps him, like in the original, but for a far, more personal reason. And of course, Beerus slaps Bulma back, which angers Yamcha and Bra immensely. In fact, this makes Bra run up to her mother, and Beerus is just looming over the pair of them, thinking about slapping them again, but this is when Goten steps up. This is where he can impress Bra. He powers up like Yamcha does, and goes in full pelt with Beerus, and goes Ultra Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan Grade 3, out of nowhere, in defense of his crush. And he actually manages to get a punch on Beerus because he's not expecting it from a little kid. But he doesn't get that same luxury again, of course, because then Beerus decides to wreck his world. And in a desperate attempt to try and be helpful, Mr. Satan is busy throwing rubber rings over the side to, try and save them or something, forgetting the fact that pretty much everyone here can fly. Don't worry, mate. He's trying, at least. As Beerus is growing tired of all of this chicanery and food fighting, he decides to just blow up the planet right here and now. But luckily for everyone, Goku arrives just in time with the help of Kibito Kai. Like in the original, Goku summons Shenron and they all learn about the Super Saiyan God ritual, including Nappa. After getting that wish and before they can make another wish, Beerus scares off the dragon before they can actually have a chance to think of a second wish. So he's gone, they don't really have much of a chance to do anything else. They've kind of just got to do the ritual without any extra research. Nappa's busy processing all of this. He had no idea of this existence of a Super Saiyan God, that it was even a thing. Goku pleads with Beerus to buy them more time so they can actually figure out how to do the ritual and provide him with a worthy challenger. Reluctantly, the God of Destruction agrees, and everyone can breathe a sigh of relief, at least for now. But it's rather fleeting though, because they realise something. There are only 5 Saiyans there. They need a 6th one. And that's including the revelation that Videl is pregnant with Gohan's first child, Pan. So, yeah, that's kind of a thing. They need one more. There's no one else. There's no Vegeta, there's no Trunks. And remember, Bra is not half Saiyan this time. Nappa's cursing his own arrogance and fear. If only they could find another way to maybe turn someone Saiyan or give them Saiyan blood temporarily so they could have a 6th person and then actually do the ritual. They should have been able to get that second wish quickly instead of letting Beerus scare it away. It's made things infinitely harder. If only they had more time to actually think of something. Wait, that's it. Time! Nappa then asks Bulma if she has one of future Nappa's time machines lying around. After some thinking, she does indeed confirm that she does have one of them lying around, but Beerus then decides to actually go over to where it was and destroy the machine because he doesn't want them cheating, you know, no time manipulation right here, so they get that chestnut instead of in the future Trunks arc. Now that they have no chance to actually do anything else and the ritual's now hopeless, the only thing that they can do now is fight. Nappa then goes full berserk, and he's actually been able to control it over the years, and is busy trying to distract Beerus. But instead of actually trying to dominate against the cat, it's actually just providing the kitty entertainment. He toys with the bulky Saiyan, but at the same time, he's kind of amused by this. These quaint creatures actually show some small signs of potential. This Goten, this Goku Nappa creatures, Saiyans, they're not as bad as he first thought they were. They're quite impressive. I mean, for mortals, and when he's figuring this all out, he knocks Nappa out of his berserk form and the big brute is now on the ground. Nappa then realizes that there may be another option out there, not one that involves the Dragon Balls, and he hates to have to want to do this option, but he has no other choice. He's got to swallow his pride. After actually coming to like these Earthlings, Beerus decides to throw them a bone and give them an extra 48 hours in order to prepare a challenger for him. If not, he'll blow the planet up. He then also demands to be served pudding around the clock until then. And this is getting Bulma even angrier, which means that Gohan and Videl have to calm her down in order for her to comply. Nappa then goes over to Goku and Kami to explain his plan. They both agree. They head over to Fortune Teller Baba's place in order to enact it. She's a little bit reluctant to do this, but seeing how they've gotten so much stronger, she agrees to do it. She descends to hell and brings up a certain old foe. It's not as easy as that though. Vegeta, now standing in front of all of the Saiyans, doesn't want to have anything to do with them after they basically left him to die for decades and did nothing about him. But then Nappa decides to bring up the fact of how much Beerus embarrassed him as a child. This is something that does get through to the prince. After being reminded of that, Vegeta reluctantly agrees to help on the condition that after all of this is done and they get out of this actually okay, he insists that he should be brought back to life permanently this time. And since he's not really much of a threat anymore, at least in terms of power, they agree to this demand. The thing is though, you think these guys are in the clear? No, they're not. This ritual needs 6 pure-hearted Saiyans. Vegeta isn't pure-hearted, not one bit. He hasn't gone through that. So they have 48 hours in order to turn Vegeta good. I mean, this is a bit of a challenge. It's either make Vegeta a nice guy, or the planet gets destroyed. This is probably the Z Fighter's biggest challenge yet. What happens? Gonna have to wait until the next part to find out. So what do you guys think? Do you like the idea of Vegeta returning to the fold? Do you think the plan will actually work? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!